Hello and welcome to our channel Artesmia for a new video, very different from what I have uploaded up until now. In this video I will install Octoprint and Klipper onto a RISC-V SBC, namely the Lichee Pi4. It is obviously overkill to use this board for 3D printing with 16 gig of RAM and a 128 gig eMMC. I wanted to show it is possible to do 3D printing with a RISC-V SBC. Furthermore, all the recording and the video editing has been done using this board, Audacity for the audio recording, Simple Screen Recorder to do, well, the screen recording, and Flowblade for the video editing. The audio may be lacking some clarity, but I made a point of using exclusively this board for producing the entire video. The first thing to say about the Lichee Pi board is that it boots Linux Debian XFCE 5.10 kernel from emmc directly out of the box, which is a great feat for a RISC-V board. I did not expect for this to happen. I was greatly surprised. The default user is Pete and the password is Lichee Pi. No one is going to buy a RISC-V board by mistake. It is fair to assume anyone watching this video is fairly knowledgeable about Linux, and I will make this assumption. First, we start opening a terminal window and we're going to update our system. There will probably not be much to see because I update it pretty much every day. Okay, now we have to install some packages. That are necessary to install Octoprint. This may take some time, so I will no. I had already installed those packages, so that's why it went so fast, but otherwise it may take some time. MG is an editor, a text editor that I prefer greatly to Nano and VI. It's like a micro Emacs. Okay, now we're going to make our directory Octoprint and we're going to change to it. we are going to enter the Python virtual environment. We're going to activate this environment. We're going to upgrade pip. We're going to install Octoprint within the virtual environment. Okay, this would take quite some time, so I'm going to stop the recording and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, well, actually this didn't take that long. Now we have to add SciPed to a few groups. Two of them actually. And then we go back to one level in the directory structure, and we're getting the Octoprint script. It was fast. Now we start editing the files for Octoprint. Now we're going to create the defaults for Octoprint using the mg editor. So we have to paste the text inside the window. You can copy and paste from the video description. I will list the text in there. And then we do Control X, Control S to save, and Control Z to exit. Now we're going to define the service, the Octoprint service. And then we have to paste some text in the window there. Control X, Control S to save, and Control Z to exit. So we have to make the Octoprint service available to everybody. So then we move the Octoprint service to a system-wide file. Then we update our defaults. We enable the Octoprint system. We enable the Octoprint to be run at boot time. We add the user's IP to the sudoers, so this can only be done with the vi sudo command. So we look for the percentage sudo line, and then we add right below it SIPED all, no password, all is rated there. And then we exit and it asks us to save. Well, obviously the file existed already, so now we are going to create a Python script to auto start. So we add this text in the file. Control X, Control S to save, Control Z to leave. We make auto start Python available to run by everybody. Now we modify the cron tab, so this is also something that's Linux uses a special editor for that. So we have to add this at the last line. It is a good idea to end all text files with a blank line. Some software complains, some others don't. but it's good practice. Control X, Control X, Control Z. Now we're going to create a file to tell Octoprint how the service should be run. So for this we add a new file, and the text that has to be there, we have to edit the text that's already in there. So I had already done this before, so it's already corrected, but you have to correct in this line, and then you have to add the kill mode equals process line, and then you do Control S, Control S, and then Control Z to leave. At this point, Octoprint is installed. So we reboot our system. And I will stop the recording right here. Now the board has been rebooted, and I'm going to show you that that Octoprint is up and running. So we're going to look at localhost on the port number 5000. Localhost that's 5000. Okay, so I have already a user SIP'd and the password Lichee Pi. I'll say remember me and log in. And there we go, it's connecting to Octoprint. Okay, you have to wait a little bit of time. Okay, there we go. We have now Octoprint installed. Ta-da! So we have to add, as I am building a Voron 2.4 printer, and in the Voron documentation, it recommends to install a few plugins. So I'm going to install them right now. For this, we're going to use the settings, so it's the wrench in the little bar here. So plugin manager, and get more plugins. So we're going to go for the get more plugins. We're going to look for Octoklipper, that's number 1. We're going to install it. Successfully installed. Okay, we're going to install the terminal commands extended, install. We're going to install the bed level visualizer. Successfully built. We're going to install the print time genius. Done. And we're going to install themify. With a knee right here, it would be better. Themify. Install. Done. Now we are done installing the plugins we're interested in. So we close the window and it says a restart is needed to change for the changes to take effect. So we're going to reload the page. This takes a few minutes, but we see that it's loading the UI right away, but it takes some time. Now what we have to do is to install Klipper. So we're going to go back to our terminal window and I'll show you how you do that. We clone the Klipper directory from GitHub. Okay, this will take some time, so I'll come back when it's done. Now we have to go to Klipper folder, then we go to scripts, and we have quite a lot of scripts in there. But the one that interests us is install octopi script, but we have to edit it first before being able to install it. So let's find out the name it has. It's install octopi.sh. So mg, which is my preferred editor, install octopi.sh. Okay, now Klipper runs normally on Python version 2, but we have installed Python version 3. So Python dev will cause the script not to work. So we have to replace Python dev with Python dev is -python 3. and same towards the end. This is not a very long script, but somewhere where it says Python 2 that is where it says virtual environment dash Python 2. We have to replace this with Python 3. Then Control X to save, Control Z to exit. Now we are ready to install Klipper. Okay, now we will run the install octopi.sh as modified. So we may want to go back to the root of our users directory, and we're going to run this command. Okay, it runs apt-get update, and the whole process takes about 15 to 20 minutes, so I'm going to stop the recording from now. It'll be probably faster on mine because I've already installed quite a lot of things, but for brand new installation it'll take 15-20 minutes, so I'm going to stop the video and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, now we can see that it has been installed successfully, and we're going to reboot our board. So sudo reboot, and this will disconnect the screen recording, and then we'll get back to it when it has rebooted. Now I have rebooted the board and opened a new browser window, so we will look for localhost 5000. It's loading Octoprint. Okay, we can see that it used the plugin Themify because I have a dark window here, and it says here Octoklipper, and we are Klipper standby, so it's actually taking Klipper into account. So that's it for now, folks. We successfully installed Octoprint and Klipper on our Lichee Pi4 board. All what I have done in this video, I actually plugged the keyboard and mouse and the HDMI monitor to the board, but and obviously an Ethernet cable too, so that I could download a few things from GitHub. But everything can be done with a main computer and remotely through SSH. You just find out the IP address of your Lichee Pi board, and you SSH to user's IP and do exactly the same thing. And it actually is much easier to do it on your main computer and use headless board, but I wanted to do this to show it can be done. Now we're going to flash Klipper software to our motherboard. So for this we go to the GitHub of Klipper, and if we go to this particular web page, we will see a few examples of boards. So mine is the Big Tree Tech Octopus Max EZ. So we go in there and we see what it has to say on the configuration options. Okay, this file contains common pin mappings for the Octopus Max EZ. So the firmware should be compiled for the STM32H723 with a 128 kilobyte bootloader and a 25 megahertz crystal. With this information at hand, we go back to our terminal window and we go to the Klipper folder. Okay, we make menu config and we have to enable low-level configuration options. We choose the microcontroller architecture, so it is STM32 processor model. It was, we saw that it was the 723, but you look at your board and you look at the processor on the board for yours. Bootloader offset 120K bootloader. Okay, clock reference, we saw it was 25 megahertz, and the interface USB on PA11, PA12 coincides with what we saw on the GitHub, and that's pretty much it. Now we quit and save, yes, and now we just say make. And this should take quite a long time, so I will stop the video here and I'll come back when it's done. Actually, it didn't take that long. I could have waited. And then you have to copy this file to microSD card, and you name it firmware.bin small caps, and then you plug it in the motherboard, and then it'll come back as with a new name, and your board will be flashed. That's it for this video. As I said before, I am building a Voron 2.4 revision 2, and I'm nowhere near being done, so I can't go any further on this video. I will post updates on this channel as I am making progress on this project. If you like this video, if you found it interesting or entertaining, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. All comments and constructive criticism are very welcome. See you soon on this channel.